3 stars, 1 dream. Chelsea's bold summer transfer plan could change everything. Picture this, it's a quiet Sunday morning at Stamford Bridge, but behind the scenes, Chelsea's transfer team is working overtime. 3 names keep coming up in every meeting, every phone call, and every strategy session. Lopez, Alejandro Ganacho, and Chavis Simons. 3 players who could transform Chelsea's squad and give fans something to really get excited about. But here's the million-dollar question, can Chelsea actually pull off this triple signing? And more importantly, should they even try? The big picture, why these 3 players matter. Before we dive into each transfer story, let's talk about why Chelsea is targeting these specific players. It's not just about big names or flashy signings. There's a clear strategy here. Chelsea needs fresh talent. The club has been rebuilding for the past few seasons, and while some signings have worked out brilliantly, others haven't quite hit the mark. These 3 players represent something different. They are young, hungry, and proven at the highest level. Lopez brings creativity from midfield. Garnacho offers pace and directness on the wing. Simons provides that special spark that can unlock tight games. Together, they could give Chelsea the attacking edge they've been missing. But let's be realistic. Getting all 3 won't be easy. Each deal has its own challenges, and football transfers are never straightforward. So what's really happening with each player? Lopez, the Barcelona jewel Chelsea desperately wants. Who is Lopez? If you haven't watched much Barcelona lately, you might not know just how special this player is. At just 21 years old, Lopez has already become a key part of Barcelona's first team. Last season, he made 46 appearances, scored 8 goals, and provided 10 assists. Those are impressive numbers for any player, let alone someone so young. What makes Lopez special? It's his ability to pop up in the right place at the right time. He's not just a pretty player who looks good on the ball. He gets results. His coach at Barcelona, Hansi Flick, has noticed something particular about Lopez. He's incredibly effective in the last 30 minutes of matches. When other players are getting tired, Lopez seems to get stronger. This is exactly what Chelsea needs. How many times have we watched Chelsea dominate a game but struggle to find that final pass or that crucial goal? Lopez could be the answer to that problem. But here's where things get complicated. Barcelona doesn't want to sell him. And we can understand why. They've spent years developing young talent, and Lopez represents the future of their club. Flick has reportedly vetoed any potential sale, calling Lopez a key player for the future. So why might Barcelona consider selling? Money. It's that simple. Barcelona has been struggling with financial fair play rules for years. They need to balance their books, and selling a player for €70 million would solve a lot of their immediate problems. This puts Barcelona in a tough spot. Do they keep a talented young player who could be crucial for their future, or do they take the money and use it to strengthen other areas of their squad? For Chelsea, this creates an opportunity. If they can convince Barcelona that €70 million is too good to refuse, they might just land one of Europe's most promising young midfielders. What would Lopez bring to Chelsea? Creativity, energy, and goals from midfield. He's the type of player who can turn a draw into a win with one moment of magic. In the Premier League, where games are often decided by fine margins, having someone like Lopez could make all the difference. But there's another question. Would Lopez want to leave Barcelona? Playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world, in his home country, with his childhood friends watching from the stands, that's hard to give up. Chelsea would need to convince him that London offers something Barcelona can't. Alejandro Ganacho, the Manchester United outcast who dreams of blue. The Garnacho situation is completely different from Lopez. While Barcelona wants to keep their star, Manchester United seems ready to let theirs go. And that's created a perfect opportunity for Chelsea. Garnacho's story at United has been frustrating to watch. Here's a player with genuine talent, pace that can terrorize defenders, and the ability to create something from nothing. Yet he finds himself on the transfer list, excluded from pre-season tours, and apparently without a future at Old Trafford. What went wrong at United? It's hard to say exactly. Sometimes player and club just don't fit, no matter how much talent is involved. Maybe it's tactical, maybe it's personal, or maybe it's just one of those things that happens in football. But United's loss could be Chelsea's gain. Garnacho has made it clear that he wants to join Chelsea. Not Arsenal, not Liverpool, not any other club. Chelsea. That's huge when it comes to making transfers happen. Why does Garnacho prefer Chelsea? There are several reasons. First, Chelsea has a history of developing young wingers. From Eden Hazard to recent successes, the club knows how to get the best out of attacking players. Second, working with Enzo Maresca could be exactly what Garnacho needs to take his game to the next level. The financial side looks promising too. United was originally asking for £70 million, which seemed too much for most clubs. But now they are willing to accept around £40 million. That's a significant drop, and it puts Garnacho well within Chelsea's budget. Chelsea values him at around £55 to £60 million, so there's still some negotiating to do. But when you have a player who wants to join and a selling club that needs to sell, deals usually get done. What would Garnacho bring to Chelsea? Raw pace, the ability to beat defenders one-on-one, and that unpredictability that makes wingers so valuable. In Maresca's system, where wide players are expected to create chances and stretch defenses, Garnacho could be perfect. There's also something to be said for signing a player who genuinely wants to be at your club. Garnacho isn't just looking for any move, he specifically wants Chelsea. That kind of motivation can make a huge difference in how quickly a player adapts and performs. The biggest question now is whether Chelsea will pull the trigger. They're evaluating their options, which suggests they're not completely convinced yet. But with United willing to negotiate and Garnacho pushing for the move, this transfer has all the ingredients to happen. Chavis Simons, the Dutch star who could unlock Chelsea's attack. If Lopez and Garnacho represent potential, Chavis Simons represents proven quality at the highest level. The Dutch international has been lighting up the Bundesliga with RB Leipzig, and now has set his sights on the Premier League. Simons' numbers speak for themselves. 11 goals and 8 assists in 33 appearances last season. But numbers only tell part of the story. What makes Simons special is his ability to create chances out of nothing. He's the type of player who can receive the ball in a crowded area and somehow find space where none existed before. The transfer situation is getting interesting. Simons has apparently asked to leave Leipzig and even removed the club from his Instagram bio. In today's football world, that's as clear a transfer request as you can get. He wants out, and he wants to join Chelsea. Leipzig isn't making it easy though. They've rejected Chelsea's attempts to include players in a swap deal, insisting on a straight cash payment of around €70 million. That's a lot of money, but for a player of Simons' quality and age, it might be worth it. What's particularly encouraging for Chelsea fans is Simons' commitment to the move. He's reportedly failed to show up for Leipzig training, which shows just how much he wants this transfer to happen. Players don't usually take such drastic steps unless they're absolutely certain about their next destination. Why does Simons want Chelsea? The Premier League is still the most attractive league in world football. Playing under Maresca, in a system that values creativity and attacking play, could be perfect for his development. At 22, he still has his best years ahead of him. For Chelsea, Simons represents everything they need in an attacking midfielder. He can create chances, score goals, and provide that spark of genius that wins tight games. In a league where creativity is at a premium, having Simons could give Chelsea a significant advantage. The main obstacle now is the price. €70 million for one player is a big investment, especially when Chelsea is also looking at Lopez and Garnacho. But sometimes you have to pay premium prices for premium talent. The money game, can Chelsea afford all three? Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Money. Can Chelsea realistically afford to sign all three players? Lopez would cost around €70 million. Garnacho around £40 to £50 million. Simons another €70 million. We're talking about a combined investment of roughly €180 to €200 million. That's serious money, even for a club like Chelsea. But here's the thing about Chelsea's current financial situation. They've been smart about their spending recently. Previous big signings haven't all worked out, so the club has learned to be more careful about where they invest their money. These three signings would represent a clear strategy though. All three players are young, with resale value. All three fill specific needs in the squad. And all three have proven themselves at high levels already. The question isn't really whether Chelsea can afford these players. The question is whether they think these players are worth the investment. And based on their continued interest, it seems like they do. There's also the possibility that not all three deals will happen. Maybe Chelsea gets 2 out of 3, or focuses on one marquee signing instead of spreading their budget across multiple players. Transfer windows are unpredictable, and priorities can change quickly. What this means for current Chelsea players. If Chelsea does sign these 3 players, what happens to the current squad? It's a fair question, and one that current players are probably asking themselves. In midfield, Lopez's arrival would create more competition for places. That's not necessarily bad, competition tends to raise everyone's level. but some players might find their playing time reduced. Garnacho's potential signing would affect Chelsea's current wingers. Again, this could be positive if it pushes everyone to perform better. But it also means some players might need to look elsewhere for regular football. Simons would add another creative option, which gives Maresca more tactical flexibility. Having multiple players who can unlock defenses means Chelsea would be less predictable and harder to defend against. The key is finding the right balance. New signings should improve the squad without disrupting the harmony that's been building. That's something Maresca and his coaching staff will need to manage carefully. The manager's perspective, how Maresca could use these players. Enzo Maresca has shown he likes to play attacking, creative football. All three of these potential signings fit that philosophy perfectly. Lopez could play as a number 8, getting forward to support attacks while also contributing defensively. His ability to score goals from midfield would add a new dimension to Chelsea's play. Garnacho would provide width and pace on the wings. In Maresca's system, wingers are expected to stretch defenses and create one-on-one situations. Garnacho's pace and dribbling ability make him perfect for this role. Simons could play as a number 10 or even as a false 9 in certain games. His creativity and ability to find space between lines would give Chelsea's attack more unpredictability. Together, these three players would give Maresca the tools to implement his tactical vision fully. More importantly, they would provide the squad depth needed to compete on multiple fronts throughout a long season. Fan expectations, what Chelsea supporters really want. Let's be honest about what Chelsea fans are thinking right now. After a few seasons of rebuilding and mixed results, supporters want to see ambition. They want signings that show the club is serious about competing at the highest level again. These three potential signings would definitely show ambition. They're not cheap, easy options. They're quality players who other big clubs also want. Landing them would send a message that Chelsea is back in the market for top talent. But fans also want signings that make sense. There's no point buying big names just for the sake of it. These three players all fill specific needs and would improve the team in different ways. The challenge for Chelsea is managing expectations. If they sign all three players, fans will expect immediate results. If they only sign one or two, some supporters might feel disappointed. It's a delicate balance. What's encouraging is that all three players seem to genuinely want to join Chelsea. That's not always the case with big transfers, and it usually leads to better performances on the pitch. The competition, what other clubs are doing. Chelsea isn't operating in a vacuum. Other big clubs are also looking to strengthen their squads this summer. How does Chelsea's potential business compare to what their rivals are doing? Arsenal has been linked with several big names and seems ready to invest heavily. Manchester City always manages to find quality players, often without making huge headlines. Liverpool is rebuilding under their new management structure. In this context, signing players like Lopez, Garnacho, and Simons would keep Chelsea competitive in the transfer market. It would show that they can still attract top talent and aren't willing to fall behind their rivals. The Premier League is incredibly competitive now. Every team in the top 6 has quality players and tactical sophistication. To succeed, Chelsea needs players who can make the difference in tight games. These three signings could provide exactly that. Potential challenges and roadblocks. Not everything about these potential transfers is straightforward. Each deal has its own challenges that could prevent it from happening. For Lopez, Barcelona's reluctance to sell is the main issue. Even if they need the money, losing a player of his quality and potential could hurt them in the long term. Flick's opposition to the sale adds another layer of complexity. Garnacho's situation is complicated by United's asking price and Chelsea's valuation. While both clubs seem willing to negotiate, finding a price that works for everyone isn't guaranteed. Simons' transfer depends on Leipzig accepting Chelsea's offer and the player maintaining his desire to leave. If Leipzig refuses to budge on their asking price, or if Simons changes his mind, the deal could collapse. There's also the question of work permits, medical checks, and all the other administrative details that can derail transfers at the last minute. Until contracts are signed, nothing is certain. The timeline, when could these deals happen? Transfer windows have their own rhythm. Early in the window, clubs tend to negotiate and explore options. As the deadline approaches, deals often happen quickly as everyone tries to finalize their business. Based on current reports, Simon seems closest to joining Chelsea. His public desire to leave Leipzig and Chelsea's continued interest suggest this deal could happen soon. Garnacho's situation could develop quickly if United and Chelsea can agree on a price. With the player wanting the move and both clubs apparently willing to negotiate, this transfer has the momentum to happen. Lopez might take longer, given Barcelona's reluctance to sell. This could be one of those deals that drags on until late in the window, when financial pressures might force Barcelona's hand. Of course, transfer timelines are notoriously unpredictable. A deal that seems certain can collapse overnight, while others that seem impossible can happen in a matter of hours. What success would look like? If Chelsea does manage to sign these three players, what would success look like? It's not just about getting the deals done, it's about how the players perform once they arrive. In the short term, success would mean all three players adapting quickly to English football and Maresca's tactical system. The Premier League is different from other leagues, and some players take time to adjust. Medium-term success would be seeing these players contribute to Chelsea achieving their objectives for the season. Whether that's Champions League qualification, a good cup run, or challenging for the title, these signings should help Chelsea reach their goals. Long-term success would be these players becoming key figures at Stamford Bridge for years to come. At their ages, Lopez, Garnacho, and Simons could all be Chelsea players for the next decade if everything goes well. The final verdict: should Chelsea go for all three? So here we are, back to the original question: should Chelsea try to sign all three players? The case for doing it is strong. All three players would improve the squad. All three are young enough to provide value for years to come. All three seem to want to join Chelsea, which usually leads to better performances. The financial commitment is significant, but Chelsea has the resources to make it work. More importantly, these signings would show real ambition and give Maresca the tools he needs to implement his vision. The case against is mainly about risk. Spending so much money on three players is always risky. What if one or more doesn't adapt well? What if injuries disrupt their seasons? What if the chemistry doesn't work? But in football, you have to take calculated risks. These signings feel like calculated risks rather than desperate gambles. Each player has proven quality, each fills a specific need, and each seems motivated to succeed at Chelsea. Looking ahead, the bigger picture. Whether or not Chelsea signs these three specific players, the transfer window shows the club's ambition and direction. They're targeting young, talented players who can grow with the club rather than established stars looking for one last big contract. This approach makes sense for several reasons. Young players tend to be more motivated and coachable. They have higher resale value if things don't work out. And they can form the core of a team for many years. The Premier League is incredibly competitive, and Chelsea needs to match their rivals' ambition in the transfer market. Signing players like Lopez, Garnacho, and Simons would do exactly that. Whatever happens with these three deals, Chelsea fans have reason to be optimistic. The club is clearly thinking strategically about how to build a squad that can compete at the highest level. That's exactly what supporters want to see. The coming weeks will tell us whether Chelsea can turn interest into actual signings. But one thing is clear: this transfer window could be crucial in determining the club's direction for years to come. Are you ready for what could be one of Chelsea's most exciting transfer windows in recent memory? Because if these deals happen, Stamford Bridge is going to be a very exciting place to be next season.